Hey, it's Jason from Pro Guitar Studio. Welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at a great note to add into your minor pentatonic scale. So if you already know your minor pentatonic scales, even just the first position, I will call it shape number 1 of your minor pentatonic, this one note is going to add a lot of flavor and can be used in a variety of situations. So this is probably the most common note that you can add into the scale, aside from the blues notes. So we'll think of the minor blues scale as something different, but this is right here is going to be called the hexatonic scale, the minor hexatonic. I think it's the name can be a mouthful. So if you want to think about this as the minor pentatonic scale with the added ninth, it might be an easier way to think of it. So the minor pentatonic typically is, let's say we're doing D. That's what I did in this video here. We're going from fret number 10 to 13, and then 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 13, 10, 13. Note-wise, I have a D, F, G, A, C. D, F, G, A, C, and then it repeats D, F, G, A, C, D, F. So just 5 notes. So those 5 notes comprise the D minor pentatonic. And interval-wise, if you've done your theory before and you know what intervals are, we have root, flat third, 4th, 5th, flat 7th. So the note we're going to be adding in here is the 9th. So the 9th note of the major scale, otherwise also known as the 2nd. So if we have the D major scale, the 2nd or the 9th is an E note. So when we add the E note in here, we're going to get D, E, F, G, A, C, D, E, F, G, A, C, D, E, F. All right, so we're adding the E note in. Now, if you know your pentatonic scales, again, we go back to 10, 13, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 13, 10, 13. If we have that comfortable, the D minor pentatonic, we're going to add our E notes in. So just to sort of get comfortable here, the E note on the lowest string, string number 6, is fret number 12. The E note on the 3rd string is fret number 9. And the E note on the high E string, fret number 12. So if we add those notes in, we're going to have 10, 12, 13, 10, 12, 10, 12, 9, 10, 12, 10, 13, 10, 12, 13. It can be sort of weird at first to get used to, so like... can be a little weird, and if you know your natural minor or any other minor scale, harmonic minor, Dorian, it can be strange because we're not playing the 6th interval. So usually a minor scale will go like this. Or we're skipping the 6th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or flat 6. So we're going to skip that one and just play. So it can feel a little strange, but the reason why we do that is because in the minor pentatonic, we're using it because it's an open-ended scale. It's really, we'll say it's a far distance. The intervallic leaps are bigger than when we're playing a standard minor scale. So basically what that means is more distance between the notes, right? So the minor scale, if you play the natural minor, it takes a lot longer to get up from, let's say, the D here to D here. The pentatonic is just, it's a lot quicker, right? So the hexatonic sort of bridges that gap a bit, but it also gives you just one note that is useful over a variety of minor scales. Whereas the full natural minor can only be used in that particular key. This here can be used in the blues. It can be used over Dorian progressions, for example, if you know what Dorian is. It can be used over harmonic minor scales. The only thing weird here would be the flat 7, but if you're using the 9th, you can play that in there as well. So there's a range of things you can use it in. But we're just adding that one note. So the best way to put it is that the pentatonic is really useful because there's more space in between. There's more notes that are not being played, which in turn means that our ears can leave that spot open and we can actually imagine different notes being in there, right? We don't have to pigeonhole ourselves to a small, let's say, subset of chords that would be part of the natural minor scale. We can have it more open-ended. So the hexatonic is the same idea. We're just adding one note, but the one note here is quite useful. Like I mentioned before, the other scale is the blues scale. That's a great 6-note scale as well, but that sounds very bluesy, right? So if we want to sound a little more edgy, dark, the 9th interval is a great option. So the backing track I was just doing there was a D minor chord in the background, and all I was doing was playing within this scale. Now some really fun things you can do. So we can improvise with. Do some vibrato on the E note, so that sounds great there. Some Y vibrato. That sounds excellent. Hammer-ons and pull-offs. That sounds excellent as well. So we can play within that note and just really dig into that ninth because it sounds a little dark against the D, right? It's quite dark. I think it has a great sound, sort of eerie, and I use this all the time. So in a minor key, if you want something to sound really edgy, eerie, sort of out there, using the ninth can sound great. So lots of options there. First step for you is to learn this first shape. So the D minor pentatonic with the added ninth interval. So we can call that the D hexatonic minor, just to make sure I'm clear with saying that. Or you can just call this the D minor pentatonic with the added ninth interval, so major ninth. And when we're playing that there, we can just think of adding that one note when we want to. So you don't have to play it all the time. You don't need to run the scale in the same way that I did at the beginning. We can play through the pentatonic scale. And just add it in when we feel like it. And that's a good way to think about it. So once you get comfortable there, think of the other pentatonic shapes you know. So if you know, for example, shape number 4, if you know this one. Added the blues note in there out of habit, but you get the idea. So shape number 4, if you do know that one, try to find where your E notes are. So for example, I play my E note here, 7th fret on the A string, and 5th fret on the B string. You can do that for all the positions you know. So try to figure out where your E notes are, right? Great exercise for your brain to sort of figure out where those notes are, but also a nice way to think about these different positions and how to add that note. And then you can try it in different keys. Once you get comfortable with the D minor, try it anywhere you want on the fretboard. But the key is at first, just use a vamp with D minor. So the backing track that I used at the beginning, I'll include that in the description to this video, just so you can practice over just that one chord. Or if you want to loop it or record yourself, just the D minor. So as soon as you start changing chords, we're changing the reference, we'll say the reference chord. So if we, for example, go to C, playing the E over that C, it's going to be a different context because we have now a note that's in the chord. So it doesn't function the same way. So for now, try to use this hexatonic scale just over a D minor chord so you get comfortable. And that's where I think the best use is right now. Eventually, you could use this over different chords, but when the chord changes, I typically change my approach, and I might not use it the same way. So I think of this scale as something I can use over that direct minor chord just to really highlight the eeriness and darkness of the sound. Makes it a lot of fun, and it's great with gain, delay, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Please feel free to give me your feedback. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos like this each week, and I'll see you soon. So have some fun with the hexatonic minor scale.